Hello family, this is Pastor Asia Bonney. You're welcome to day 3 of our Stewardship Master Class, and I know so far you have been blessed with our first 2 sessions. If you have not watched day 1 and day 2, I will encourage you to watch the day 1 and the day 2 and you'll be greatly blessed. But I would love to do a recap of the day 1, the day 2, then we'll continue today. First day we spoke about what stewardship is, and we spoke about God being the master, we being stewards, and he has entrusted everything into our care. And yesterday we spoke about the levels of leadership, that God has entrusted so many things into our hands, and the things he has entrusted into our hands are our time, our life, our family and children, our work and business, the church, the spread of the gospel, and our gift and talent, our money, our resources, and our possessions. And we said that if you are able to wisely manage all these things that God has entrusted into your hands, it means that you are setting yourself, or you are getting ready to be blessed by God. Because if you become a good manager or a good administrator, automatically you become blessed, and so many blessings and things are released into your life. So that's what we have been doing for the past 2 days. Today we are going to focus our attention on the characteristics of a good steward. The characteristics of a good steward. Now, basically, when it comes to stewardship, you have good stewards and you have bad stewards. But we are going to focus our attention on good stewards. But we are going to use a passage in the Bible to extract the characteristics of a good steward. So let's move straight to Matthew chapter 25. We are reading from the verse 14 to 29. It's quite a very long passage, but I would want you to bear with me. We'll read it so that when we are extracting the characteristics of a good steward, you fully understand and will fully get whatever I'm trying to put across today. So let's zoom into the reading. Matthew 25 verse 14 to 29 says that a man going on a journey called his servant and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, according to their ability. Then he went on his journey. Now, before I continue, let me give you, let me try to explain what the passage is trying to say. A man who had servants was about to travel, and what he did was he called his servants. So the passage is telling us that the servants were 3. And what he did was he gave one servant 5 bags of gold. He gave the second servant 2 bags of gold. Then the third servant, he gave 1 bag of gold. But there's something interesting about this. He said that he gave all of them according to their abilities. It means that we as stewards, God knows our abilities. That's why he doesn't entrust the same things into our hands. God knows what you can do, and he knows what I can do. So when he's entrusting his gifts, and he's entrusting his talents, and he's entrusting whatever he wants to give to us, he doesn't give you the same thing he gives me, because our abilities are different, our strengths are different and our weaknesses are different. Okay, now let's continue with what it says. It says that the man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. The one with the 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the one who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's gold. So this is what is happening. After the 3 were given the bags of gold, as we read earlier, the one was given 5, 2, and 1. The one who had the 5 went to work with his 5 bags and had additional 5 bags, which means that he made a profit of 5 bags. The one who had the 2 bags went and also worked with the 2 bags of gold, and he had additional 2 bags, meaning that he also made 2 bags profit of the resources or the gold that was given to him. But something interesting happened. The one who had the 1 bag of gold went and dug a hole and hid the bag of gold that was given to him. So let's see what happened. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5, and he said, "Master, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more." Then the master said, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." Then the one who had 2 bags of gold also came and said, "Master, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more." His master replied, "Good and faithful servant, you have been faithful with a few things, and I'll put you in charge of many things." Then the one who had received 1 bag came and said, "Master, I knew you are a hard man." Now look at what is happening. The master came to settle accounts with his servant, okay, to find out what they have done with the bags of gold or the bags of money that he gave to them. The one who had received the 5 said, "Look, master, I've worked with the 5 and I've gained 5 more." And the master, applauded him and said, "Look, you've done well." The one who had the 2 also came and said, "Master, I worked with it and I've had additional 2 to 8, and he was also applauded. But the one who had the 1 said, "Master, I knew you were a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown or gathered. I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. So here is what belongs to you." His master said, so he brought the 1 gold that was given to him back. He didn't work with it. He just dug the ground and hid it there. And look at what the master said. The master said, "Wicked servant, you lazy and wicked servant. So you knew I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered. Well, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I return, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has the 10 bags. For whosoever has will be given more, and they will have in abundance." Now, when we look at this passage clearly, the first 2 servants or stewards worked with what was given to them. They are all stewards, but the first 2 worked with what has been given to them. So we'll say that the first 2 stewards are good stewards, but the final one who had the 1 is not a good steward. He's a bad steward, because he didn't work with what has been given to him. So this passage gives us some Characteristics of good stewards. Characteristics of good stewards. So the first characteristic of a good steward is a good steward is honest. So we being stewards of God, or you be a steward in an organization, being a steward in a church, okay, or being a steward in your work or business, wherever you find yourself as a steward, you must be honest. So good stewards are honest people. They are honest people. Now the second thing is, a good steward does all things without disputing and murmuring. When you look at the first steward, who was a bad steward, he was murmuring and disputing that you're a wicked master. You harvest where you have not sown, you gather where you have not scattered. But the good stewards accepted what has been given to them, and they didn't murmur, they didn't dispute. So when you read Philippians chapter 2 verse 14, it tells us to do all things without disputing and murmuring. So a good steward is always not murmuring and not disputing. A good steward is always ready to what? Accept what has been given to him or her and work with it. Now the third thing is, a good steward is faithful and loyal. A good steward is always faithful. So a good steward is faithful to himself, faithful to his family, faithful to his finances, faithful to the church or organization that he belongs to, faithful to his higher authorities, and faithful to his work and business. So wherever you find yourself as a steward, you must be faithful and loyal. You must be faithful and loyal. Because when you read 1 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 2, it says that it is required of stewards to be faithful and loyal. So good stewards are faithful and loyal. Now let me move to the fourth one. A good steward is prepared to adapt to a new environment and new changes. Then the fifth one is, a good steward is trustworthy. You must be trustworthy as a steward. Your organization, your church, your family, you must be trustworthy with even your finances, because you're a steward over your finances. You're a steward over your family. You must be trustworthy. Your family must trust you. The business, the church, your pastor must trust you. Your leaders must trust you. You must be trustworthy. Then a good steward sacrifices. You must be ready to sacrifice. Jesus sacrificed himself for us, and he sacrificed himself for the church. So as a good steward, you must sacrifice. Then also, our seventh point is, a good steward is responsible. You must be responsible for whatever has been given to you, because we know that stewardship comes with responsibility. So you cannot take responsibility out of the stewardship equation or the stewardship formula. As a steward, you must be responsible, because you are responsible for everything. As we said yesterday, you are responsible for your time, you are responsible for your resources, you are responsible for your family, you are responsible for everything that has been entrusted into your hands. You are responsible for the church if you are a pastor. If you are an instrumentalist, you are responsible for the instruments. You are a steward over the instrument. If you are a Sunday school teacher, you are responsible for the children. If you are an usher, you are responsible for the gate where you stand to usher. You must be faithful. You must be responsible. Now, the eighth point is, a good steward is prayerful. If you are a steward, you cannot take prayer out of the equation. You must be prayerful. You must be prayerful. You must be prayerful. You must recognize, because the Bible says that we must pray without ceasing. And as stewards of God, we must pray without ceasing. You must pray without ceasing. Now the point 9 is that a good steward is obedient. Now our obedience is in two forms. Our obedience is first to God and also to our higher authority. So as pastors, as individuals, as church leaders, church workers, or whatever stewardship position that we occupy, we must first be obedient to God. And we must also be obedient to the leaders that God has given to us. So if you're a Sunday school teacher, if you're an instrumentalist, you're an usher, you must be obedient to what? Your pastors and the leaders. You must be what? Obedient. A good steward is obedient. Then the next thing is, a good steward loves. You cannot be a steward and not have love. Then you are not being a good steward. And every good steward obeys the two greatest commandments. The first commandment, as Jesus said in Mark chapter 12, verse 28 to 31, that we must first love God, then love our neighbor as ourselves. So if you're a steward, the people that has been entrusted into your care, you love them. If you are a pastor, you are a church leader, you are a worker, you are a CEO of an organization, you are a manager, and you don't love the people that has been entrusted into your care, then you're not being a good steward. You're not being a good steward. You're not being a good manager. You're not being a good administrator. You must love the people that has been entrusted into your care. You must love the people that God has given to you. So you must always obey and fulfill the two commandments. First, loving God, and two, loving the people around you, which we call our neighbors as ourselves. Now the next point is, a good steward is dedicated and content with whatever has been entrusted into their hands. So you must be dedicated. If you're a church worker, you're a pastor, whatever leadership position that you have, whatever you are doing, you must be dedicated to it. You must be content that this is what God has given to me. I'm content with it, and I'll be dedicated and committed to it. I'll be dedicated and committed to it. So, being a good steward, you must be dedicated and content. Then the next point is, a good steward is patient and humble. If you're a good steward, you don't lose your temper anyhow. You are patient and you are humble. Even when you read Colossians chapter 3, it talks about the kind of clothes we must put on. Putting on the clothes of compassion, the clothes of kindness, the clothes of love, and all that. As stewards, we must be patient and humble. When you read the book of Numbers, he speaks about Moses. He says that Moses was very meek, he was very humble. He was a steward, he was the leader of the children of God, the children of Israel, but he was very humble. So if you're a pastor, you're a church leader, you're a manager, you're a CEO, whatever stewardship position you have, you must be humble and you must be patient. You must be humble and patient. Now the next point I'll draw with, a good steward is sincere, consistent, and not double-tongued. We have some stewards, they are not sincere, they are not consistent, and they are double-tongued. They say one thing today and they say another thing tomorrow. They are not consistent. But for you to be a good steward, you must be sincere always. As the Bible says, that let your yea be yea and let your no be no. Don't say yes today and say no tomorrow. Don't say one thing today and say another thing tomorrow. And it applies to all of us because we are all stewards, one way or the other. You may be steward in the church, steward in your office, steward over everything. And don't forget, you are steward over your life. So you must be consistent, you must be sincere, and you must not be double-tongued. Mean what you say and say what you mean. Don't say something that you don't mean and don't mean something that you say. So every good steward is sincere and not double-tongued. Now the next point I would talk about is a good steward communicates effectively. Now communication is very, very important in everything, in every organization, in the church, in marriage, in businesses, in every sector of life. Communication is very, very important. When communication breaks, then there is a challenge. Where there is no effective communication, there is a problem. So as a good steward, you must know how to communicate effectively. Let's look at the passage we read. The one with the steward who was given 1 talent. Look at how he came. He said, Master, I know you're a very hard man. I know you're a very hard man. You reap where you have not sowed. You gather where you have not scattered. He was not communicating well. He was communicating harshly to even the master. Because of that, I didn't work with what you gave to me. I hid it on the ground. This is what you gave to me. Take it, collect it back. We must know how to communicate effectively. And we must know how to communicate well as stewards. We must know how to communicate effectively. Now, my next point, a good steward knows how to keep secret and confidential issues. As stewards, we may have the opportunity and privilege to certain informations in our businesses, in our churches, and even in our families and wherever. But we must know the timing and the things we must say. If you are a church worker and your pastor has had, let's say, a meeting with you, and the meeting is confidential, it must be confidential. You must not go and say things you have not been given authority to say. You know, when I was growing up, my parents mostly will tell you there are certain things that are for your ears only and not for your mouth. Many of us, we are quick to expose or bring out secrets and confidential issues. It doesn't make us good stewards. Things that are supposed to be confidential must remain confidential. I'm not saying that we should condone evil things or when things are wrong, we should not say them. No. I'm talking about things that are supposed to be kept secret, that are supposed to be kept confidential. We must know how to hold our mouth. As stewards, we must not just come out and burst out and say things because we feel we have information or we have things to share. No. We must learn how to keep things confidential and how to keep secrets. Now the next thing is, a good steward increases and multiplies whatever has been given to them. And with the passage that we read, that's what happened. The stewards or the master's servants too multiplied whatever has been given to them. And this comes to confirm what we read in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 to 28 in our first day, the day one, the session for the first day, that God commanded them to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So as stewards, God is expecting that everything that He has given to us, we must multiply and increase it. They must not remain the same. If God gives you one, He expects two back. Our God is not a God of addition. He's a God of multiplication. We must multiply whatever He gives to us. With your gift and your talent, you must multiply it. You must become excellent at whatever God has given to you. You must not remain the same with your gift and talent. If you do that, he will take it away from you. Let's see what happened to the servant with the 1 talent who refused to work with it, who refused to multiply it. The Bible says that it was taken away from him and it was given to the one who had multiplied his 5 to 10. So as good stewards, we must multiply whatever has been entrusted into our hands. So at your work, in the church, your business, your family, your possessions, whatever that you are a steward over, you must multiply and you must increase. Finally, in ending today's session, a good steward forgives. We must learn how to forgive. If you don't know how to forgive, it means that you are not being a good steward. Because our Father God always forgives us. Even He being the master over everything, He being the Lord over everything, forgives. And He says that forgiving one another, we must forgive one another. The people that will offend us, we must forgive. So, pastors, if your congregation offends you, forgive them. Church leaders, forgive them. If you are an usher and you are being offended, forgive. Many people have offenses in their heart. They are not able to forgive. And immediately you have offenses in your heart and you don't forgive. It doesn't make you a good steward, because automatically your heart has so much evil in it that you will not be able to do what God has asked you to do. Because you cannot have God and evil at the same time in your heart. Your heart is only one. So if you have evil and unforgiveness in your heart, God cannot dwell there. So as stewards, as good stewards, we must know how to forgive. And forgive completely. We must not forgive and still hold the grudges in our heart. Pastors are not able to forgive members in their congregation. Husbands are not able to forgive their wives. Wives are not able to forgive their husbands. Children are not able to forgive their parents. Parents are not able to forgive their children. Workers are not able to forgive themselves. Church workers, every sector of life where people are, there will be offenses, but we must learn to forgive. We must learn to forgive. So to be a good steward, you must learn to forgive. It doesn't matter whatever has been done to you. Even the Bible tells us that we should even pray for those that offend us. And forgiveness is very important to the extent that the Bible even says that when you are going to give a sacrifice, you are going to give an offering, and you remember that you have an issue with your brother, you must first put your money at the altar. Don't even put it in the offering bowl. Just put it at the altar, run back to the house and settle accounts, settle scores, forgive one another, and return back to the church. And now pick your offering and put it into the offering bowl. It tells you the importance of forgiveness. Even statistics have shown, or doctors, scientists have even proven that people who harbor things in their heart are prone to so many sicknesses and diseases. So sometimes when you go to the hospital and you are suffering from hypertension and all other forms of sicknesses, they ask you, are you thinking too much, or are you harboring so many things in your heart? We must know how to let things go. We must learn how to let things go. We must learn how to let things go. So God bless you for being part of today's session. I'm so much grateful unto you. Continue to watch and share. Invite your friends, your church leaders, church workers, your colleagues at work to watch this masterclass, this worship masterclass. I'm so much grateful unto you. And I thank you for watching. God bless you. See you tomorrow.